Hi, I'm Ben Ferguson, and welcome to your AMAC Weekly News. First up, according to the mainstream media, COVID-19 doesn't seem to impact people when they're protesting or rioting or looting. It only hurts you when you're going to church or the grocery store or to a family funeral or a birthday party. More on how the COVID-19 narrative from the media has changed in just a moment. Up next, liberals have gone from riots and looting to calls to completely disfund, disband, and dismantle all police departments in this country. There are already city councils attempting to make this happen in their own cities. Find out where in just a moment. And finally, AMAC's Vice President of Strategic Marketing, Kurt Meyer, is here to update you on the latest member benefits from AMAC. All that and more in just a moment. But first, a quick reminder, please share this video with your friends on social media. Your AMAC Weekly News starts right now. The mainstream media seems to think the American people aren't paying attention. Somehow it's okay for hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people across the country to protest, riot, and loot side by side, but it's not okay for Americans to go to church or vote in person because of the coronavirus. Let's just take a look at how dumb the mainstream media networks like NPR think the American people actually are. Check out two tweets that NPR, you know, that organization where your tax dollars go to fund it, sent out in just the past couple of days. The first tweet we're going to show is from June the 6th, 2020. It reads, "Thousands of voices at a protest in D.C. came together to sing the Bill Withers classic Lean on Me, led by local musician Kenny Sway. It sounded like unity and togetherness," he says. "It sounded like love and pureness of the people." Well, just 2 days later, NPR also tweeted this out. "President Trump will hit the campaign trail this month despite the deadly coronavirus pandemic, which continues to impact the lives and livelihoods of households across the country. The rallies will be tremendous," a campaign manager said. Now, my question is, how dumb does NPR actually think we are? Well, somehow they claim it's unsafe to attend a Trump rally, but it's totally safe to stand in the street singing Lean on Me. Let's make this a little worse. In fact, 1,288 supposed public health professionals, infectious disease professionals, and community stakeholders signed a letter advocating for anti-racist demonstrations against systematic injustice occurring during the COVID-19 pandemic. In this letter, these supposed public health professionals state, and I quote, "Protests against systemic racism, which foster the disproportionate burden of COVID-19 on black communities and also perpetrates police violence, must be supported." They also advocated that protesters not be arrested or held in confined spaces and told authorities to prepare for an increased number of infections in the days following a protest and increase access to testing and care for people who attended those protests. Yes, this is ridiculous. And to put it in perspective, let's be clear about what they're now saying. They're saying if I decide to go to church, somehow I'm now endangering people's lives. But if I decide to go out and protest, I am covered by the support of 1,288 so-called public health professionals. I want you to see just a glimpse into how the mainstream media has proven itself incapable of sticking to the message of COVID-19 that they've been preaching for a long time. There's a montage you're about to see, and it's absolutely brilliant. It shows you the media condemning you for wanting to go to church, condemning you for wanting to protest government overreach of shutting down all of our businesses, and then all of a sudden the protests start and they say it's totally fine and there's no mention of COVID-19. Take a look.
And a far more serious scene. Watch these images. Really just an ugly, dangerous scene at the state capitol in Michigan.
As we look at this extreme group of people, those pictures and those clashes really show the chaos.
And you're out there with guns?
I don't want to call them rallies. They're not protests.
These quote-unquote protests, I don't even think that that's the right word, because protests are supposed to be peaceful.
I'm not embarrassed to say that I was afraid.
It's not clear what they're demanding to infect other people, demanding to make other people sick.
It's dangerous, and these people can take this home with them and hurt their families and all the rest.
I'd like to ask them if they're willing to sign away their right to treatment if and when they get infected.
Who the hell do you think you are? I don't understand what is wrong with people. Stay at home.
I want to be clear in how I characterize this. This is mostly a protest. It is not, generally speaking, unruly.
That ain't a riot, what we're seeing right now in Minneapolis.
Any reasonable person would say we shouldn't be destroying other people's property, but these are not reasonable times.
And please, show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
The beautiful thing is we're seeing citizens who are caring and concerned. They're hitting the streets.
Heartwarming to see so many people turn out peacefully.
You know, Brooke, I think this is a march, really.
But as they're coming off, it's peaceful. They're saying peaceful protest.
Across the country, it's bringing people together, community with unity.
Now, according to them, it's not okay to risk COVID if it's not for the type of protests that they deem valid. This is so wrong on so many levels. There is a complete double standard, and the mainstream media and liberals need to be called out for this. Now, AMAC is here to make sure your voices are heard in Washington and across the country. We're also here to make sure that people understand what the media is doing right now. They're choosing when you can protest and when they tell you to stay home, and we're not going to let it stand. These protests across the country have led to a new movement. They are now calling to defund, disband, and dismantle the police across the country. That's right. Yes, you actually heard me correctly. The liberal left now wants all police to disappear. The city where all this started, Minneapolis, is leading the charge on dismantling their police department as we speak after the death of George Floyd. Let me also be clear. The death of George Floyd should have never happened. Yes, that was a bad police officer. But just because the actions of a bad police officer doesn't mean that you get rid of the entire police department. But that's exactly what liberals are now trying to do. Now, I want you to hear directly from Minneapolis City Council President Lisa Bender during her interview on CNN. Take a listen.
To be clear, you're not talking about reform. The word dismantle is intentionally different than reform. This is more than reform. This is dismantling. I mean, activists who support this are calling this a police-free future.
Yeah, and a lot of us were asked if we could imagine a future without police back in 2017 when we were running for office. And I answered yes to that question. To me, that future is a long way away, and it would take an enormous amount of investment in things that we know work to keep people safe. I mean, for a lot of folks in our community, stable housing is a safety issue. Having access to healthcare is a safety issue. And so I think one thing folks are asking is to stop investing so much money in this militarized police force and instead invest in the things that our community really needs. So, I know the statement was bold, and I stand by that bold statement, but the work ahead of us will be long. It will include every member of our community. It has to. And, I think we have very immediate things. We have a state action against our police department, which gives us legal mechanisms in the very short term. There's lessons from all over the country, all over the world that we're looking to take immediate steps while we work toward building the systems that we would need to imagine that future.
Now, I'm honestly glad that CNN actually pushed her to reiterate that this is dismantling, not reform, because liberals across the country are throwing around words like disband, defund, and dismantle. Then they turn around and claim that it's not what they really mean. Well, let me make this clear. Disband means to break up or cause to break up and stop functioning. Defund means to prevent from continuing to receive funds. Dismantle means to take a machine or structure to pieces. These are dictionary definitions. Now, liberals are avoiding and dodging any question that directly asks what they mean by defund, disband, or dismantle. Nancy Pelosi is a key example of this, and I want you to see how she tries to dodge the question on what she means by defunding the police in an interview on MSNBC.
The issue of budgeting is one that should be a statement of our values. What we care about should be how we allocate our resources, and we do care about safety. So we will have various measures that relate to, we could perhaps alleviate some of the responsibilities some in law enforcement have that relate to mental illness, relate to domestic violence and the rest of that. And we are hoping that they will pass our legislation that has the Violence Against Women Act in it and the funding that goes with that. But I wouldn't get hung up on one phrase or another. What we want to do is pass our bill for justice in policing. That phrase I hope everyone will take on. And again, as we allocate our resources, do so in a way that addresses some of the underlying concerns that people have. In fact, our HEROES Act does just that in certain respects.
They're trying to take away our police and leave our entire country open for crime. Why? It's all an attempt to please their anti-cop voters right before this upcoming presidential election. Liberals would rather try and win an election by pandering to make all Americans less safe than to do the right thing and defend the good men and women who protect and serve our country. Yes, there are bad cops, like the one we saw in Minneapolis, but that does not mean we get rid of every cop on the force in this country. Remember, there are bad people in every profession. And when one of them gets caught, does the left and the media say we need to disband that profession? Let me also remind you of the hypocrisy coming from many of those who are calling for the police to be disbanded. They are literally surrounded day and night by their personal security details, whether it's in D.C. or back in their home districts. So they want you to have no one to call when you need help, but they get to keep their security? That sounds like hypocrisy to me. Now, we at AMAC will stand always with the good men and women on the police departments around the country. And we will fight to make sure that you are never without law and order in your communities. Here at AMAC, one of the things that we work on so hard for our members is to make sure that you have benefits and services. And now we've been really focusing on making sure that you can save money. We know people are hurting because of what's happened with the economy with COVID-19. And joining me now to talk about some of those benefits that you really should be taking a look at right now is Kurt Meyer. He is the man who's in charge with strategic partnerships with AMAC. And he is here to talk to us about some of the incredible good news for AMAC members. Kurt, I really appreciate you coming on this week, and I want to start with one of the benefits that already so many of our members have taken advantage of, and that is the MeMD side of things, where our members now can see a doctor just over their computer, over their smartphone, not have to go into a doctor's office, not have to worry about exposing themselves or their family to possibly COVID-19 in that office. And it is a benefit that people around the country have been trying to get a hold of. Many are not accepting new patients, yet we at AMAC have this available for all of our members.
Yeah, thank you, Ben. We had done extensive research into the telemedicine platform and looked at several providers. And once the pandemic hit, we realized the sense of urgency for having this type of benefit for our members, especially since everybody was mostly in a lockdown phase. So we found the folks at MeMD. Again, after we did our due diligence, we realized that they would be the best fit for the AMAC member, and it's proven to be very, very successful.
We have a lot of members that have reached out to us talking about how great this is. And after they used it, they said, why haven't I been doing this for years? You can literally see a doctor, get an appointment, talk to them, and do it all before you could even drive to a doctor's office, much less get an appointment. You don't have to wear a mask. You can do it from the safety of your home. And that is one of the best things about this for members is I say, try it. You'll probably never go back to the old school way of actually driving to the doctor's office.
Yeah, it's one of those benefits that telemedicine's been around a while, but there's an education component and getting people to realize that there is this other option rather than going out to see your primary physician or going to the emergency room or what have you. And we're seeing little by little that people understand it more and are willing to try it, especially in this pandemic climate that we're in.
Kurt, one of the things that also has become a big issue is there's been a lot of people that have put off going to see different doctors, dentists, things like that during this time because offices were closed. People didn't want to go out and see a dentist and have somebody right in their face. That's another benefit that you guys have been working on, is to make sure that when we're starting to kind of reopen up in this country, and we've had people that have maybe missed appointments and they're sitting there going, well, now I need to save money when I do this. This is another great benefit you guys have been working on.
Yeah, we rolled out our key dental plan probably several years ago, and we realized that we needed something that was going to immediately save the members money. It's got over 100,000 dentists in the network. They're able to go in point of service, no waiting periods, and able to save up to 60% on standard procedures. So it's been a very successful program over the years.
And like you said, this has been actually something that many members may not know about, that we've been doing for years, but now we really are letting our members know, hey, if you need to see a dentist, this is an option for AMAC members. And like you said, you can save upwards of 60% over what you may pay if you were a cash paying individual. A lot of insurances don't cover dental, as we know, and this is one of those huge benefits right now if you're trying to save money.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we know that some of our members are struggling financially. We see what's happening with the economy right now. We're pushing more and more of those benefits that we know will save the member money. And this is an ideal benefit for those people that don't have any dental insurance.
Lastly, it's something that probably everybody watching has, a cell phone. Everybody's got them. And a lot of people don't look at bills like this. You get comfortable when you have a service and you just kind of stay with it. You think it's going to be complicated to switch, or I may not get to keep my number. All that now has become so easy with technology. If you switch cell phone service, you have the right to take your number with you. Now, many times you can keep your same cell phone if you want to. This is another benefit that really has saved a lot of people money, is our partnership that we have. If you have a cell phone, you ought to look at the rates and see how much you may be able to save every single month just by making one phone call.
Yeah, our relationship with Pure Talk USA, which is a veteran-owned company, has been a great strategic partnership. They've customized plans specific for the AMAC membership. Plans are as low as $10 a month, and anybody that enrolls in that service will get a free 3-year membership to AMAC. So it's been a very, very successful relationship, and we're looking forward to having it grow. And again, at the same time, one of the most important factors is saving that AMAC member money.
Well, and as you just mentioned it, plans as low as $10 a month is incredible. I know people that have gotten this as just even an emergency phone to put at their weekend getaway house, to put in their car, that extra sense of security. It's incredible, these rates that we've been able to secure for AMAC members, and this is just some of the highlights of things. You guys have been busting it. I want to say thank you during this time, realizing we've got to get great value to the members right now with the economy the way that it is. If people want to see the long list of partnerships that we do have, the easiest way to do that is just go to the website, right?
Yeah, go to amac.us and click on the benefits tab, and it'll bring you over to all the various categories that we have. We're constantly adding to our member benefits platform. By the end of this year, we'll have over 100 member benefits, and it's continuing to grow. We do a lot of research, a lot of due diligence goes into picking these various products, as well as providers, to see what is going to be the best benefit and quality benefit for the AMAC member.
Again, go to the AMAC website and click on benefits. You can see it there. We're constantly adding these benefits. Kurt, I appreciate you and everything that your team's doing. This is certainly saving people money right now, especially when they need it more than ever before.
Yes, again, that's our primary goal. I mean, it's been since the inception of AMAC. We always wanted to build a comprehensive member benefits platform that would save the AMAC members money. And again, in this economic climate, we're pushing hard to bring in those benefits that we know would be a true savings and a useful benefit as well.
Well, I know a lot of members are going to be happy about this. And again, thanks for coming on, and we'll have you back again real soon.
Okay, thanks so much, Ben. Always a pleasure.
Again, a big thank you to Kurt and the team at AMAC that fight so hard to make sure that you get to save money with our member benefits. That's it for this edition of your AMAC Weekly News. Quick reminder, if you haven't joined AMAC or renewed your AMAC membership, make sure you do it now so we can continue to count you as one of our loyal members and we can fight for you in Washington, D.C. and around the country. That's it for this edition of your AMAC Weekly News. I'll see you back here next week for our next episode.